First and foremost, free the whole world, boss. I am your gracious host, Caspian Montgomery. Welcome, Gaza Nation, to another episode of the Vybz Kartel Show. Today, we will be breaking down a song that I hold near and dear to my heart. It is one of my new favorites from Vybz Kartel, and when I say that, you must take heed because his conscious songs are among the greatest conscious songs in the world, and this one is right on that level. The name of the song is Vampire, and we will be breaking it down to the patois illiterate. So without further ado, teacher, please begin.
You turn the youth them in a criminal. Look how the ghetto say that devil fit for animal. Then you use the media demonize the garrison. So when you kill the animals it come me like nothing.
Ardy, the intellectual, begins the first verse by giving a lesson to us on how the system treats ghetto youth. He begins by saying that they turn the youth into criminals, and then he says, look how the ghetto stays, it's not even fit for an animal. So he says, look at the conditions that they are living in, it is not even fit for an animal, let alone a human. And then he says, then you use the media to demonize the garrisons, right? So you're using the media to say how bad the ghettos are and the people that come from there, and the reason that they are doing that is because when they come and they kill them and they starve the ghetto youth, it comes in like nothing, because the rest of the world is looking and saying, those people are just criminals, they are just the worst people of society, and they have no clue because they haven't been to a ghetto in their lives. So I just want to say that this song, we could have an entire hour-long debate discussion on just these lyrics. They cannot be simply broken down by any person. These lyrics are very powerful, extremely well put together, and I wish that the rest of the world would hear these lyrics and actually take them in and decipher them and understand, because he is making such a valid point.
100,000 youth a year at graduate school. Them even have 1,000 job fi give the youth. Who no lucky said the people even have the tool. Fi understand the eyes of treachery, the gift of you.
Adi, the influencer, then goes into some critical mathematics, as he tends to do. He says that there's at least 100,000 youths that graduate from school every year, but there is not even 1,000 jobs open for them to fill. So what is the use of going to school when you have no prospects? When you get out of school, you have nothing to look forward to. And then he says that the system, they just tell the people, you're lucky that you're even getting an education. You're lucky that we have this system in place, which is a complete lie, because what they are teaching is not even relevant to joining the workforce. What they are teaching is how to become a sheep and just stay in their perpetual cycle working under them, because that's all they want us for, is to be worker bees, and they are the queens just sitting and collecting all the honey. And then he says that we are lucky they gave us the tools, a big lie. And then he says to even understand the heights of treachery for their views. So there is always the poor righteous teachers that come from the ghettos that take the education system, they take the good from it, and then they actually form self-thoughts and realize what is going on, and can inform the rest of the people of what's actually going on. There's not not everyone on Earth is able to do this. So there's people like Adija that will always come from the ghetto environment and then not turn their backs on the ghetto environment, even if he is successful, and always teach them what to look for, what is actually going on, because it's not just what you see in front of you. There are things always going on behind the scenes. It is just masterful song composition, writing composition on this one. And with that last line, we have reached the glorious chorus.
On a world vampire, no one fi see the youth them prosper. You want fi see the youth them suffer. Who no set a vampire? On a world vampire, no one fi see the youth them prosper. You want fi see the youth them suffer. Who no set a vampire?
We must first big up Peter Tosh, because Peter Tosh is the actual creator of this chorus. Vybz Kartel did borrow the chorus and the premise for the vampire song from Peter Tosh, and for the patois illiterate, Peter Tosh is arguably the greatest reggae singer of all time in Jamaica. I know all the foreigners know of Bob Marley, but Peter Tosh was right there, if not better than Bob Marley. Please do not kill me in the comment section, but this is what Jamaica and I tend to believe. So we must big up the forefathers. But Vybz Kartel, he did write the lyrics and he recreated this song, but he did use this chorus, and this chorus is very pertinent still today in these times. He says, they are uno old vampires, so you are just old vampires, the old money, the blue bloods, the elite. That's what I like to call them, the people that have had money for generations upon generations. They are not even tapped in to the rest of society. They live in their own world. They are vampires, old vampires. And then he says, they do not want to see the youth prosper. They could take their money, pool it together, and end world hunger, end so many different things that are wrong with the world today, but they do not do that because they do not want to see the rest of the world prosper. And then he says, you want to see the youth suffer, and there couldn't be a truer statement, just judging off of their actions, that they love death and destruction. They love sending off other people's children's to wars, but they never send off their own. So it's just very powerful music Peter Tosh wrote here. And then he says, you are just vampires. You are sucking the blood out of the ghetto youth, out of the poor people of Earth, and you are sitting back, not doing any manual labor, any hard work yourselves, and just eating, literally killing, taking the life force out of people, just so you and your generational royal bloodlines can just sit and continuously prosper and live the best life, that we only have one life, and you get to live it to the best of your ability, while most people struggle and they endure pain until the very day when they die. This chorus is just exceptional. Bravo, Vybz Kartel, bravo, Peter Tosh.
Last time when you want to fear the people, every day another fairy tale about heaven. You know see the people, them a suffer upon earth. Them a pray for 400 years and that no work.
The king of dancehall begins the second verse by saying, now he is addressing religion, which is one of my favorite subjects on earth, and he says, pastor. He's addressing the pastor directly. He says, what are you actually doing for the people? And then he makes an argument right here. He says, every single day it's another fairy tale about heaven, and I do hope this doesn't make me lose any subscribers, but I am an atheist. I do not believe in the fairy tale book. I do not believe in any of the fairy tale books. To me, it is all Zeus and Thor, and Jesus is in the same boat as them. So it's just another fairy tale that you're telling these people, and it's actually not helping anyone by doing that. And then he says, don't you see that the people are suffering upon earth? Right now, the people are suffering. Why do they need to hear a fairy tale about how in the next life, when they go to heaven, if they do what you say and what this book says, that in the next life they will have the best life? But what about right now, in this life, in this time? People are suffering. We shouldn't be listening to fairy tales and hoping that someday, sometime it's going to get better. It should be getting better right now. And then he says another wonderful line. It's just amazing. He says, the people have prayed for 400 years and it still hasn't worked. When are you going to give up? And this statement right here, this line, I just want to speak about it briefly. I understand how the pastors and the religious groups and the people that are in power, how they could push religion upon the especially Christianity, which I know is prevalent in Jamaica and is also prevalent in the USA. I understand how they could push that to the white people, the dumb white people, how they could get that. But how could you accept as a black person Christianity, any of those Abrahamic religions? I just don't understand. I can never wrap my head around it. We all know, if you've ever studied, it's very simple to find out that Jesus would never have been white. The apostles would never have been white or fair-skinned. Just couldn't be. It's just not a possibility. So for me to see any black person praying to a white Jesus, it's just a slap in the face, because this is what they used as part of the slavery process and to hold people down, and for people of color to listen to this and still believe this and live their lives by this book. It's just it actually saddens me. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We could have a conversation about it. I would love to do so, but I personally just, it hurts my soul to see this is the oppressors. You still cannot love the oppressors. Slavery was a stain on humanity, and every person who participated should be disgraced. But I do believe that religion and Christianity and Islam and Judaism is all doing even worse, and it still continues, and people don't fight or speak up against it. They actually gravitate towards it, and it really does bother me. Rastafarianism is something that Jamaica should gravitate towards. Spirituality, I understand these concepts, but it just makes zero sense for me that you would follow what your oppressors, what the slave owners believed in, and you would still do that even after being freed, even after fighting for your freedom. You would still believe in this one concept. It truly boggles my mind, especially like Vybz said, you've been praying for this long and nothing has changed for you. It is time to give that up and search for a new way, but that is just my opinion.
Police killer you, the mother come to you bawling. You tell her about say a fiend, time of God calling. And that the church and the state combine for you. Turn the people in a sheep, but the meat not inherit nothing.
One dawn then says the police, they kill a youth in the garrison, unjustified. He could just be minding his own business, and a police officer doesn't like him and he kills him. This goes on all the time in Jamaica, and the mother, she goes to the pastor bawling, crying her eyes out, and the pastor, his response is, it is his time. God called him up to the heavens, and that is frankly, and pardon my language, but that is bullshit. And it is actually not comforting. It is not a good way. You should never lie to a person, even if you need to comfort them. I just do not agree with this. God didn't call him by that means, that way of dying. He was unjustly murdered, and that is how God decided to call him up to heaven. It is not right, and we need to rethink our entire traditions, our values, and our moral system, because the good book, and I am laughing inside when I say the good book, it does not have the same moral value system as people. Is actually very beneath us. We have a much better moral system by ourselves without that stupid book. And then he says that is what the church and the state combine to do. America was a very beautiful place on earth because it was at one time the bastion of freedom, because it was the first secular country where we decided to keep religion and politics separate, but they conspired and decided to meld once again, and you can't separate the two, but in a perfect world, that is how a country should be run. Religion should have nothing to do with it, but when you combine the state's power and the religious authority, you are setting up for a authoritarian and a totalitarian government, which is going to never look out for the people. It is always just going to harm the people of the country and go against everything that the people of the country believe. It is something that needs to be revisited, and I always thank Vybz Kartel for bringing these type of things up and talking about him and making sure that the ghetto youth do know what's going on. And then he says, you turn the people into sheep, but the meek don't inherit nothing. So in the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, it says that the meek shall inherit the earth. When is that happening? When is our retribution coming? When do we get to live on earth like we do in the kingdom of heaven? When are we inheriting? Because there was never a time or a date, so we are still just sitting here and waiting to inherit the earth, but we are just walking around like sheep, and the pastors and the state and the government, they are just the sheep herders, the shepherds, and they are just leading the sheep around, but there is always a bad sheep in the flock, and that is Vybz Kartel. He's letting people know, the other sheep, what's going on. It's time to run away from the shepherd and actually be free. I'm very sorry about going on and on about this, but these lyrics are, I mean, they are like, he's writing a book, but he's writing it in musical form, and it has to be in short form, but the lyrics are literally like a dissertation. It is just powerful music right here.
Oh no, world vampire. No one fi see the youth them prosper. You want fi see the youth them suffer. Oh no, set a vampire. Oh no, world vampire. No one fi see the youth them prosper. You want fi see the youth them suffer. Oh no, set a vampire.
Uno old vampire. No one fi see the youth them prosper. You want fi see the youth them suffer. Who knows set the vampire? I've been driving around non-stop, singing this at the top of my lungs while driving around the city. This song is, this chorus is just impeccable, and I would like to take just a brief second to tell everyone that I'm very disheartened. I looked at the views on this song, and I don't know if it's a conspiracy and people are trying to hold it back, or do people just only want to hear bad man songs and skin out songs. But Kartel's body of work in the conscious area is the best work, I believe, from him. Some of my most favorite songs that actually bring tears to my eyes, like Open Up the Door and Thank You Mama and Poor People Land, are the greatest songs, and this is right there with them. And I'm going to urge you to just please play this to every person that you know. I would expect this to have 10 million views in 1 week, but it seems to be the opposite case. It's only at 450,000. The rock song, Not Okay, is an exceptional song. It's wonderful, but it does not have the substance and meaning that this song does. So I would expect this song to just be cherished, but just like Poor People Land, only a select few will understand this and heed to the words and take what he was saying and teach it and continue to make this song, at least the words, apparent to the rest of the ghetto youth. So I get disheartened because this is some of the greatest music Vybz ever makes, but I guess if you make conscious and positive and uplifting music and music that makes people aware of our surroundings, I guess it doesn't want to be heard as much as shake your bum bum and shoot your gun off. But that is just me. I wanted to say that. I do love this song. It is right up there with Poor People Land to me. I'm so happy that he's continuing to make this type of music.
Watch them upscale, them and live them dirty life. Mother with the son, father, pray the daughter. Hypocrite, we know your fight. Ghetto people like your barber. Hypocrite, we know your fight. Ghetto people like your gardener. Hypocrite, we know your fight. Ghetto people like your helper. Ghetto people know your fight.
Mr. Palmer begins the third and final verse. I don't even know if I should break down this last verse because it will probably get this video taken down or demonetized, but most of my videos get demonetized anyways. But he says you have to watch the upscale people and how they live their dirty lives. They are hypocrites. They tell us how to live, but they are secretly living disgusting lives. And I'm only going to say, look into the Rothschilds, Marina Abramovich, Aleister Crowley, and start your knowledge in your learning down that road, and you will see how these upscale people live their double secret lives. But he says, yes, there's the mother with the son, father with the daughter. They are performing incest. This is well documented in royal families. And then he says, you're hypocrites. Ghetto people are your barbers. Ghetto people are your gardeners. Ghetto people are your helpers, right? And you constantly look down and talk down amongst the poor people of the world while you live your disgusting, hypocritical lives. I will not say any more on that topic for fear that this video will get taken down. But with that last line, we have reached the end of another Vybz Kartel masterpiece. This one is a masterpiece amongst masterpieces. I will not take up any more of your time, so until we meet again, it is Gaza, me say, forever.